the story of the golden calf Aaron built in the Bible. After the Lord delivered the children of Israel from slavery in Egypt through mighty signs and wonders, He led them through the wilderness toward the Promised Land. The Israelites witnessed extraordinary miracles. They saw the waters of the Red Sea divide before them. They watched Pharaoh's army perish in the sea. God provided manna from heaven, water from the rock, and His constant guidance through the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. Yet, despite experiencing these astonishing demonstrations of God's power, the hearts of many people were still weak in faith. When the Israelites arrived at Mount Sinai, God called Moses to come up the mountain to receive His commandments and instructions. The mountain was covered with God's glorious presence. There was thunder, lightning, thick clouds, loud trumpet blasts, and fire. The people stood at a distance with reverence and fear while Moses entered the cloud where God spoke with him. The Bible tells us in Exodus that Moses remained on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights. During this time, God gave him the 10 Commandments, written on 2 tablets of stone by the finger of God. The Lord also revealed laws and instructions concerning worship, the priesthood, the tabernacle, and holy living. However, while Moses remained on the mountain, the people below became impatient. Instead of trusting God's timing, they allowed doubt and fear to take control of their hearts. They gathered around Aaron and demanded that he make visible gods to lead them, because they did not know what had happened to Moses. Exodus 32.1 says in the New International Version, "When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, 'Come, make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him.'" Aaron faced a serious test of leadership. Instead of standing firmly for the Lord and correcting the people, he gave in to their sinful request. He instructed them to remove the gold earrings from their wives, sons, and daughters and bring them to him. The people willingly surrendered their gold. Aaron collected the jewelry, melted it, shaped it with a tool, and fashioned a golden calf. Then the people declared, "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." This statement was a direct rejection of the true God who had rescued them from slavery with His mighty hand. Aaron went even further. He built an altar before the golden calf and proclaimed that there would be a festival. Although he spoke of a feast to the Lord, the worship had already become corrupted by idolatry. The people rose early the next day, offered burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, ate, drank, and indulged in sinful celebration before the idol they had made. This tragic event reveals how quickly people can drift from God's truth when they stop trusting Him. The Israelites had only recently promised to obey everything the Lord had spoken. Yet within a short time, they exchanged faithful worship for an idol created by human hands. Meanwhile, on Mount Sinai, God informed Moses about what was happening in the camp. The Lord declared that the people had corrupted themselves and turned aside quickly from His commandments. God described them as a stiff-necked people because of their persistent rebellion. Exodus 32.7-8 records God's words. "Go down, because your people, whom you brought up out of Egypt, have become corrupt. They have been quick to turn away from what I commanded them, and have made themselves an idol cast in the shape of a calf." Although God's righteous anger burned against Israel, Moses immediately began to intercede. He pleaded with the Lord to remember His covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses asked God to spare the nation so that His promises would continue to be fulfilled. Moses demonstrated the heart of a faithful servant. Rather than seeking his own greatness, he prayed earnestly for the people who had sinned so greatly. His intercession reminds believers today of the importance of praying for those who have fallen into sin instead of rejoicing over their failure. As Moses descended from the mountain carrying the 2 stone tablets, Joshua, who had accompanied him part of the way, heard the noise coming from the camp. Joshua believed it sounded like the noise of war, but Moses recognized that it was the sound of singing. When Moses came near the camp, he saw the golden calf and the people dancing before it. His righteous anger burned because Israel had broken their covenant with God almost immediately after receiving His commandments. At this stage, If this video is interesting, take a moment to engage with it by liking, commenting, and sharing it. In his anger, Moses threw down the 2 stone tablets at the foot of the mountain, breaking them. This dramatic action symbolized that Israel had broken the covenant they had entered into with God. Moses then took the golden calf, burned it in the fire, ground it into powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. Moses confronted Aaron about what had happened. He asked, "What did these people do to you, that you led them into such great sin?" Aaron attempted to excuse himself by blaming the people and minimizing his own responsibility. He even claimed that after throwing the gold into the fire, the calf simply came out. The Bible clearly shows, however, that Aaron had intentionally fashioned the idol. This account teaches every believer that spiritual leaders must courageously obey God instead of yielding to public pressure. Aaron's compromise brought terrible consequences upon the nation. Leaders are called to stand for truth even when obedience is difficult. Moses saw that the camp had become completely disorderly because Aaron had allowed the people to run wild. Moses stood at the entrance to the camp and declared, "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." The sons of Levi gathered around him, demonstrating their loyalty to God. Through God's judgment, many who persisted in rebellion died that day, showing the seriousness of idolatry before a holy God. Even after this judgment, Moses once again returned to the Lord to intercede for Israel. He confessed the people's great sin and even offered himself on their behalf if it would spare them. Although God did not accept Moses as a substitute, this moment points forward to Jesus Christ, who truly became the perfect sacrifice for sinners. The story of the golden calf reveals several powerful lessons for believers. First, miracles alone do not produce lasting faith. The Israelites had witnessed extraordinary signs, yet they still turned away from God. True faith requires continual trust and obedience. Second, impatience often opens the door to sin. Instead of waiting faithfully for Moses to return according to God's timing, the people demanded an immediate substitute. Believers today must also learn to wait patiently upon the Lord. Third, idolatry is not limited to carved images. Anything that takes God's rightful place in our hearts can become an idol. Wealth, power, pleasure, success, or human approval can all compete with our devotion to God if we allow them to rule our lives. Fourth, this story demonstrates both God's holiness and His mercy. God judged Israel's sin because He is perfectly holy. Yet He also showed mercy because of His covenant promises and because Moses interceded for the people. Ultimately, God's greatest mercy was revealed through Jesus Christ, whose sacrifice provides forgiveness for all who sincerely repent and believe in Him. The New Testament warns believers not to repeat Israel's example. 1 Corinthians 10:14 says, in the New International Version, "Therefore, my dear friends, flee from idolatry." God's people are called to worship Him alone with undivided hearts. The account of Aaron and the golden calf remains one of the Bible's clearest warnings against compromise, impatience, and false worship. It reminds us that the God who delivered Israel is worthy of complete obedience, faithful trust, and wholehearted worship. May every believer reject every form of idolatry, remain faithful during seasons of waiting, and honor the Lord with a life that reflects His holiness and His truth. Now, finally, before you leave, if this video is valuable, do not forget to engage with it by liking, commenting, and sharing it. Endeavor to watch my other videos, also to learn more. Goodbye until my next videos.